Damn. My peoples. My peoples. Welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. Y'all know what we doing. Y'all know what we about to do. We talking boxing, my peoples. And the main topic of conversation today, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Tank Davis been bulking up, been preparing to get that smoke with Jake Paul based on the preparation that you see from Tank Davis or what's coming out. It looks like it's a real fight. You know, with him gaining this weight, this muscle, and being as focused as he appears, it's looking like we're gonna get a real fight. Now, you know, you know, I'm just not sure because, like I told you guys before, it is an exhibition, and when you have an exhibition, it kind of contradicts what a real fight is because traditionally, or a real fight, people go up, they fight, somebody wins, somebody loses, and that goes on their record. In this case, they say, oh, we're gonna have judges and we're gonna score it, and somebody's gonna be named the winner, but it doesn't go on their box rec. So is it a real fight or is it scripted? We're gonna find out. But the way that Tank Davis is preparing, the way that he looks, I was looking at one of them Netflix videos, that they're doing for the lead up, and Tank Davis is looking strong as hell, y'all. He's looking like he's preparing himself to put a nasty beating on Jake Paul. And I told people that, I'm not convinced, I'm not sold because it's an exhibition. So I want to see them throw blows for me to say, oh shit, this a real fight. It's going down for real. For now, honestly, I don't feel confident because it's an exhibition. But seeing the way that Tank Davis looks, my peoples, he's looking like he's getting ready for destruction. I'm telling you that right now. If this fight is gonna be for real, Jake Paul getting beat up. He getting beat up. All that stuff about the size. Once again, remember, the main topic of conversation with Crawford and Canelo Alvarez was the size. Oh, this weight class is for a reason. He's too little. Canelo's too big. Canelo's gonna beat him up. Canelo's gonna knock him out, make it look easy. Crawford is there for a payday. Y'all remember all those lines. We could go on forever with that. And look how the fight played out. So when you're looking at Jake Paul and Tank Davis, yes, Jake Paul is the bigger guy. Yes, Jake Paul is the naturally stronger guy, of course, all of that. But are we gonna forget that in boxing there's levels? Are we really gonna forget that? Are we gonna forget that Jake Paul lost to Tommy Fury and that put his skills level down here? The one professional boxer that he faced, he lost to. That puts his skill level down here. Tank Davis has been fighting at the highest level for how many years at this point? When was it that he beat Pedraza? Like over 10 years ago, like 12 years ago, he beat Pedraza. Tank has been fighting at a high level for years, for over a decade already. And Jake Paul is average. So that size difference, that's not gonna dictate what happens in this fight, my people. I'm telling you right now, it's looking like a real fight. Watch. Toy Mafia, salute my brother in the building side. What's the deal, my brother? Appreciate you dropping in. Y'all know what we doing, my peoples. We talking boxing. This whole Jake Paul, Tank Davis situation. Yo, have y'all seen how Tank Davis looks right now? Man, let me try to find something. This dude is jacked. Jizacked. Tank Davis. Tank Davis. My people's Tank Davis is looking like he's ready to inflict some bodily harm on Jake Paul. People, listen, I promise you, People who are saying that Jake Paul is too big and that he's gonna hurt Tank Davis and all of that, it's not even gonna be close to anything like that, y'all. Not even close. I want you to think about the skill, the gaps, the gap in skills between them. It's like this, y'all. Jake Paul's over here, Tank Davis is over here. Don't listen, don't put your faith and your focus on Jake Paul's bigger and stronger. If that's all you got, that he's bigger and stronger, don't put no faith in him winning this fight, my peoples. None. Bigger, listen, man, we've been watching boxing long enough, man. We should all know that big and strong don't win fights. Bigger and stronger does not win fights. And even when there's that size difference, I'm gonna put it to you like this. I'm gonna give it to you in a more vivid way. The size difference between Jake Paul and Tank Davis is like this. That's the size difference, right? Let's say Tank Davis is 5 feet. Is Tank Davis like 5'6", 5'7", right? Whatever Tank height. And then when you take Jake Paul 6, whatever he is, the height difference, look, this is a foot right here. You see that? That's the height difference between Tank Davis and Jake Paul. But what I need you to understand is that the skills difference, it's like that. Look. That's the skills difference right there. You see that? Height difference, this is the height advantage that Jake Paul has. That's about a foot right there. And this is the skills advantage that Tank Davis has on Jake Paul. So whenever you take a big guy with a little bit of skills versus a smaller guy with a lot of skills, big boy getting his ass whooped, my peoples. Superman, salute. Bam. Allen, what's the deal? Big man getting his ass whooped, my people. Take my word for it. Take my word for it. There's too much of a gap in skills between Tank Davis and Jake Paul. And that's going to show in the ring. Allen, Tank is number 1. Well, I think right now, there can't be anybody ahead of Tank Davis in exhibition shows. Tank Davis is the face of exhibition boxing now. It's official. So I agree. Definitely number 1. And Jake Paul is not going to be able to handle it. He's not. Don't be surprised if Jake Paul comes out fast and furious. Remember how Logan Paul came out on Floyd Mayweather? Just throwing a bunch of punches. Looking like a goofball out there. So don't be surprised if Jake Paul comes out swinging. And I tell you this because, remember, Tank Davis is a notorious slow starter. Does it every time. Every Tank Davis fight, that first round, you're going to get 4 or 5 punches out of him. Moving around. And if you get 5 punches, 4 of them was a jab. Maybe a strong left hand. So taking that into account, that he's a slow starter, I think it is possible that Jake Paul might come out swinging and try to do something early. My peoples, good morning to everybody, man. And welcome to another episode of Boxing for Breakfast, where you get your healthy dosage of sweet science early in the morning. For those of you having breakfast, man, enjoy it. Beautiful day today. I I don't know if you guys seen the images that are out there of Tank Davis or the videos on Netflix. Tank Davis is looking jacked, y'all. Jacked. He's looking like he's preparing himself to inflict bodily harm. That's what he's doing. People, y'all know I gotta have my breakfast. Enjoy your breakfast too. I'm having a raisin bagel with cream cheese. Tastes pretty good. Alan, you know I've said that in other videos. That I talk about Tank is on another level. I know who's in the exhibition boxing game right now that could be compared to Tank Davis? That's it. He is the face of exhibition boxing. Ain't nobody that could mess with him. Toy Mafia. Yo, it's just another payday before the feds start to rush in. God, God damn, bro, stop. The feds ain't got no reason to rush in. Come on, bro, shit. um, Look, Rick Glazer is standing on his toes on this one. On all 10. He says that Tank Davis is gonna get a huge payday. He's gonna retire from boxing, and then when he is running low on money, he's gonna come back. I find it hard to see it playing out that way, simply because I think that Tank Davis has the right team around him to get him to invest money the right way, and he's probably buying properties and doing all these things already, and now he's gonna get this bulk of money from Jake Paul, and I think that Tank is gonna be financially set. So if he is financially set, he doesn't need to fight for money. I could see him retiring and staying out of boxing if he's good. So, but that's what Rick Glazer says. That he's gonna run out of money and then come back for a few paydays, and then he'll fight some names because those will be the ones that'll pay out the most money. Mm. But I will say, when they first announced this fight, my perception was, you know what? Jake is gonna send Tank the script. Tank already knows how many punches he's gonna throw, how many punches he's gonna get hit with, if he's gonna fall in round number 5 to make it seem like Jake Paul dropped him, if Jake Paul's gonna fall, and ultimately, just like wrestling, they'll know what's the final outcome. That's what, honestly, that's how I felt when I hear exhibition. Like, yeah, I know what's gonna happen in this exhibition. Then they threw in the fact that they're gonna have the judges, and the judges are gonna score it, and somebody's hand is gonna be raised at the end, but it's still an exhibition, right? Now I see Tank Davis, and he looks jacked. Tank Davis looked like he's preparing to inflict bodily harm. So now that makes me think about it like, damn, is this really gonna be a fight? Are Tank Davis and Jake Paul really gonna fight for real, like really try to hurt each other? Well, if that's the case, I'm telling you, my people, Jake Paul don't stand a chance. Forget about the size. I'm telling you, forget about the size. He's bigger because this is the size advantage that Jake Paul has on Tank Davis right there. Okay? That is the size advantage Jake Paul has. Let's say he's almost a foot taller or a foot taller than Tank. Right? That's about a foot right there. That's his size advantage. But Tank Davis's skills advantage is this, yo. Look. That's the skills advantage. You see, Jake Paul's size advantage, Tank Davis' skills advantage. So if they fight for real, Tank Davis is gonna whoop that ass, y'all. He's gonna beat him up. I'm not, look, the part about the stoppage, it makes me wonder because Jake Paul is a big dude. So I'm not sure, but because of the skills difference, I think Tank Davis could stop Jake Paul. I think he could hurt him with a nasty counter shot. And I'm gonna tell you one thing right now. If they fighting for real, remember that I told you this. We have a right-handed versus a southpaw in Tank Davis, right? Jake Paul oftentimes overcommits with the right hand. That big right hand that he throws. Oh, oh, overcommits with that right hand. That's some B-level boxer type of stuff. But with Tank Davis, when you overcommit with that shot, he does a slight step back, just real slight, not much, so that you don't reach him. But when he comes back with that left, he comes back with it so fast that your arm hasn't even come all the way back for you to protect yourself. You don't have the opportunity to protect yourself. So you swing, you overcommit like Jake Paul does with that right hand. And guess what? Before he brings it back, oh, the Tank Davis flush. Either left uppercut, left hook, whatever he want to do, straight left. Before you even have a time to react or defend yourself. And you eat that whole punch flush. So, I say Tank Davis can't stop Jake Paul. Corey B, Tank needs to stop Jake Paul. Floyd would have stopped him. Wait a minute. You can't say that, Corey B, because Floyd could have stopped his brother, and his brother got way, way less skills. Way, way less skills. So, and Floyd's not a power puncher, bro. Floyd not stopping. No way Floyd stopping Jake Paul. He giving him a lesson. Giving him a lesson, making him look like a goofball. Floyd Mayweather get in Jake Paul. Jake Paul's gonna be looking, like a McDonald's third shift janitor. But Floyd Mayweather's not gonna knock him out. No chance. No chance he's gonna. This guy's way too big, and he's gonna eat Floyd's best punches. So that won't happen, bro. I promise you. MAW, Tank is talented. That is undeniable. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so popular. But this exhibition doesn't really interest me. I prefer we get the Roach rematch. But versus Jake Paul pays Tank more money. And that's the reality. It's also a business. Tank Davis decided that he's gonna make that money and not risk it. Because that's the thing, look. Let's stop saying or allowing anyone to say that Tank Davis had to pick one or the other, so he picked Jake Paul. That's a lie. Don't allow nobody to tell you that bullshit. That's straight up bullshit. He chose not to fight Lamont Roach. He chose not to rematch him. And then Jake Paul was an option that he took. There's a difference, you see. It's not that he had to pick one or the other. He could have actually did both. One and then the other. Easy. But I just want to remind you guys that even before Tank Davis was talking to Jake Paul, he posted on his own Twitter that he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao or in the 140 division next. Did he mention Lamont Roach in that post? No. He was already not planning to fight Lamont Roach. So when anybody says, oh no, he had to pick Jake Paul because Jake Paul's going to give him the bag, don't let people slide with that. That's cap. The decision to not fight Lamar Roach was made before he agreed to fight Jake Paul, before he was in negotiations with Jake Paul. In fact, I'm going to give you guys a reasonable assumption. When Tank Davis posted that he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao or at the 140 division, Manny's people probably said, no, we're not interested, because Manny's not going to get beat up like that at that age and brutalized. So they turned him down. But Jake Paul had already expressed interest that one day he wanted to fight Tank Davis. So either Jake Paul reached out to his team or Tank Davis' team reached out to them, and they made that happen. But the point is that the narrative that, well, Tank Davis chose the bag over Lamar Roach, and he chose Jake because it's more money, that's cap. He chose Jake Paul after he had already ducked Lamar Roach. He had already told us that he was not going to fight Lamar Roach. And then he entered into negotiations with Jake Paul. So the fake narrative to defend that he just went for the bag, that I've been debunked that. It's just, I don't have enough subscribers. It's only 2,000 and change of us for people to understand what actually happened over here. When there's other platforms, you know, we're tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of subscribers telling people, yeah, you know, he had to get the bag. He had to go for Jake Paul because that was the bigger bag. So the mass actually believe that shit. That's cap. Super cap. By Edits. How you doing, bud? I'm doing good. Talking boxing. Corey B. Will you pay to see Pacquiao versus Floyd exhibition? Well, I gotta say, the fact that they're saying it's a rematch, I didn't think it's gonna be an exhibition. I'm thinking it's gonna be a real fight and it's gonna go on their box rec. So if it is a real fight and it goes on their box rec, I'd pay for it. If it's an exhibition, nah, I'm sorry, I can't pay for an exhibition. You know, between two retired fighters, I can't. But when I say that I can't pay for an exhibition, let me be clear. Floyd Mayweather is a superstar and the greatest of all time. Manny Pacquiao is a superstar. Some people even feel like he's the greatest of all time. Definitely an all-time great. So when you have two star boxers of that magnitude who each has their own fan base, you better believe people are gonna pay for that. You better believe they're gonna make a shitload of money. So I'm not saying, well, you know, nobody gonna watch that. I'm not corny like that. I'm not a goofball. It's gonna be super popular regardless of whether or not it's an exhibition or a real fight. But I'm saying, to me, I'd pay for a real fight. I wouldn't pay for an exhibition. And I gotta say, my peoples, we're talking about this Tank Davis versus Jake Paul fight. But have you seen Tank Davis? Have any of you guys actually seen what Tank Davis is looking like right now? By Edits, you asked me how I'm doing. Have you seen how Tank Davis is looking? Tank is looking like he's preparing himself to inflict bodily harm upon Jake Paul. That's how I would describe him. And I want to share some images just so you can see. And look, the main thing people are focusing on is the size difference. Jake Paul's bigger. Jake Paul's bigger. And almost every interview that I see, it seems like that's what they're talking about. This is the main talking point. Jake Paul's such a big guy. Tank Davis so small. You see the difference in height between them? Tank Davis is I think 5'5" or 5'6". Jake Paul's like what, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3"? I don't know. I know he's pretty tall. But if he's a foot taller than Tank Davis, that's about this much. Look, that's a foot. Right there. That's why I keep trying to tell you. Compare the difference in height, which is about this much, versus the difference in skills, which is about that much. See that? That's the skills right there. My people, I gotta grab my laptop real quick. I'll be right back. MAW, salute, my brother. I'll be right back. I gotta grab my laptop real quick. my peoples, my peoples, we back in the building. We back in the building. Put this shit back on. MAW. I was working on a freight barge when the Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao fight was on. The crew went on to catch the fight at a pub bar while we was docked. Guess who was left behind to look after the vessel? Oh my goodness, MAW. That's a devastating blow. So you missed out on the fight. I guess you. Oh man, yeah, that's what I was about to say. I had to catch the highlight and watch replay later. Damn, that's horrible, man. That is horrible. We actually for that fight. This how you know how big that fight was. For that fight, I hosted a watch party in my house, and people who didn't watch boxing was in my house watching that fight. In fact, at my job, a bunch of us put together money, chipped in, and gave it to one girl who went shopping and bought, all type of ingredients to make tacos and nachos and all type of other stuff, that you would have for a watch party. Drinks, alcohol, and we had a great time. But watching that fight, people don't remember that. And MAW, you may have remembered when you watched the replay, the fight didn't live up to the hype. It didn't live up to the expectations. Because Floyd Mayweather, for the most part, was outboxing Manny Pacquiao, but, he was fighting his usual late stage career style where, he was being defensively, moving around a lot, making Manny chase him and counter, effectively counterpunching him, pop, 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 and beat him. But it wasn't what we expected. We thought, oh my God, these guys, they don't like each other. It's been years in the making. It's finally gonna happen. And not only that, I thought that because both of them were late in their careers, I felt like, this fight is gonna be more explosive because, you usually see that. Even fighters who have a lot of footwork, when they, are later in their career, they stand in the pocket a little bit more or even almost abandon the footwork because they don't have the legs like that anymore. But, Floyd Mayweather being a super athlete, being somebody who's always in great shape and goes to fight in superb shape, he outboxed Manny, and it was what it was. We wanted more excitement, and it just didn't happen, I think it was billed as the fight of the century, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Nah, it didn't turn out. If you think about it, I'll give you an example. Juan Manuel Marquez versus Manny Pacquiao. I'm going to name a few fights, right? Juan Manuel Marquez versus Manny Pacquiao. Marco Antonio Barrera versus Eric Morales. Floyd Mayweather versus Tito Trinidad. The oldest one that I'm naming right now, Ali versus Foreman. Well, Ali versus Frazier, because that's older. So that's the oldest fight that I named thus far. All of those fights are still watched today. Think about how long it's been since Ali fought Frazier. People still watch those fights today. Go back. Whether they look for them on YouTube or they play them on some TV show about greatest fights, people watch them. If you think about Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, that's not a fight that people really go back to watch. Like, I've watched it. I'm not going to say I never went back to watch it. I watched it a couple of times. But that fight is not remembered as a great fight. It's remembered as a fight where at that point they broke pay-per-view records. It's remembered as a fight between two all-time greats. But when we talk about it, nobody says, oh my God, that was a great fight. What a fight. Whoa. Nobody says that. MAWJ, fight wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be. I'm telling you, people was actually disappointed, but they didn't want to say it because hey, look, these are two of the greats. There's two great fighters, and we got all the respect in the world for both of them. The fight, it didn't live up to the hype, especially with the expectations that we had. Some people thinking that Manny was gonna knock Floyd out. Some people thinking that Floyd was gonna put the beats on Manny, and it just wasn't that. We didn't get what we thought we were gonna get. Now, with this one here, with Tank Davis and Jake Paul, I gotta say, we might actually get a fight, even though it's an exhibition, and I've questioned it myself. I've questioned it, whether or not it's gonna be legitimate. Is this gonna be a real fight? But man, I'm seeing Tank Davis on Netflix. I'm seeing the kind of shape that he's in. And it's looking like he's preparing to inflict bodily harm. That's how Tank Davis is looking right now. Is he? Is this going to be a real fight? I told you guys before, and I'll say it again. Jake Paul's size advantage is not going to dictate what happens in this fight. I promise you, it's not. Tank Davis' skills advantage will dictate how this thing plays out. Maxine Wong, what do you think is next for Joseph Parker? I mean, he expressed interest in the rematch. I'm not sure if he's going to get it because Wardley is obviously going to want his title shot with Usyk, from Usyk. So let's see. Let's see what's next for Joseph Parker. He took a loss, but he's still one of the best out there. And I'm going to say this, and it's easy for me to say it from here. I'm watching. I'm not getting punched in the face. I'm not getting hurt. But I've boxed, and I've been dropped, and I know what it is to get hit. I think that Joseph Parker and his team, during training camp, they didn't work on survival tactics. And survival tactics are very, very important. The best fighters are usually very good with that. Survival tactics. The thing about survival tactics is that if you're one of the best, you're almost never going to need them because you win your fights convincingly. Maxine Wong. So I'll give you an example. Remember when Devin Haney got stunned by Linares? He got hurt pretty bad. Pretty bad. Boom. Stumbled and he actually wobbled to his corner. Wobbled to his corner. So he was going to be hurt for the next round. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like round number 10. So here are the survival tactics. And I want you to know that when Linares stunned Devin Haney, the fight went the distance and he never landed another big shot. He never landed another big shot. He tried. He kept trying. Never landed another one. Why? Because Devin Haney was doing two things effectively. Number one, clinch. Clinch, my brother. Maxine Wong, clinching is the number one survival tactic. As soon as you got stunned and that opponent is letting loose on you, don't block. Clinch. Because if you block, guess what? And any fighter could tell you this. Once you're stunned, once you're hurt, you cannot block effectively. So I'm trying to block, but my arms are not there. My hand-eye coordination is not there. So when the guy goes, for example, 1, 2, 3, when I block the 1 and the 2, I don't even see it coming. Boom, it hits me. And then after it hits me, I'll go like that. Boom, and the other shot hits me. So the point is that you're not good at blocking punches once you're hurt because you don't have the hand-eye coordination. When that hook is coming to go like this, and then to go like this, and then to go like that, you don't have it. So you just standing there like that, boom, 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 boom. So the number one survival tactic when you get hurt is to clinch. Clinch your opponent. But what people don't realize from watching TV, clinching is actually an art. Clinching is something that is taught. If you don't know how to clinch, you're not gonna clinch. You don't work on that. You don't practice that. You also see fighters trying to clinch, getting punched all in the face. Clink, 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 clink. Because they don't know how to clinch. They don't work on that. So if you don't work on something in training camp, and now you're fighting, and you're getting pummeled, and they tell you clinch, clinch. You don't know how to clinch. You try. Pop, 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 when you're getting pummeled. Just do boxing. Salute, my brother. Bam. So fighters are supposed to prepare themselves for if I get hurt, I'm going to be ready to clinch. I'm going to be ready to slow down the action. How do you slow down the action? You clinch, right? But when the referee separates us, now I'm going to back away and turn and move and make you chase me to close that gap. I'm going to kill at least 20 seconds before you can hit me again. Ooh, 20 seconds like this. And the first time that you throw punches, pop, pop, whoop, I'm clinching you once again. So if you're good at clinching and moving with those survival tactics, you will kill a whole minute in the clock without taking punishment. But if you're not thinking about those survival tactics, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna try to block and fight back. And that means you're going off of instincts. When a fighter's going bop, 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 he's just going off of instincts. But you're hurt. You're hurt, so you're not throwing punches with anything behind them, and you're not blocking effectively. So what you're doing, you're getting pummeled out there. Jimbo Allen, salute. What's the subject? Facts is definitely clutch. Jimbo Allen, Jake beats Tank by decision. Nah, man, Jake Paul's gonna get beat up. Jake Paul's gonna get beat up. Real talk. What's the subject? Floyd was good at it too. Listen, Floyd Mayweather was a master when it came to survival tactics. And it's not that he had to survive. He didn't have to survive. He was winning, beating his opponents. But the point is that Floyd Mayweather, and this story was actually told by Andre Berto, who said Floyd Mayweather will hit you, pop, pop, clinch, and look at the clock. See how much time is left. Push off, keep going, pop, pop, pop. So he know exactly how much time is left, where he want to be on the ring, what distance he's going to gain, when we're going to engage. He's going to dictate when we're going to engage and when we're not. You cook. When you're fighting somebody who's ahead on the cards and is going to dictate what's happening in the ring, you are cooked. Ain't nothing you could do about it. Ash, Jake heavy and good speed. Ash, Jake, think about skills. You're talking about heavy and good speed, but think about skills. Jake Paul's skills is here. He lost to the only professional boxer he lost to him. Tank Davis been fighting at the highest level for over 10 years, bro. The size, remember with Canelo and Bud, how people were saying it's weight classes for a reason, and Canelo was going to knock him out and make it look easy. That didn't really help him, right? So even though the circumstances are different, what I'm trying to show you, size doesn't beat skills, my brother. You're going to find out. Size never beats skills. Never. You take a guy with this little bit of skills, with a size advantage, but he's facing a guy with that much skills. Nah, it's not even realistic. I know it makes sense in your mind It's not even realistic. Jake Paul getting beat up. Now, if it's scripted and Tank is gonna let him win because that's in the script, that's different. But if they're gonna fight for real, Tank is gonna beat him up. Beat him up. Antoine Ward, the old school boxing teaching involved clinching. Coaches bringing wrestlers to training camp to teach. And that's the problem. That is a big problem, Antoine Ward. People are not working on clinching. They not working on no type of survival tactics. So when they get hurt, they resort to instinct to try to block and punch back. And you see people get knocked out like that all the time. Clinching is important, y'all. You gotta clinch if you hurt. And if you don't clinch, oh, you saw what happened to Joseph Parker. So what happened to Joseph Parker? Superman, the non-amateur background fighter, was clinching. Maxine Wong, Tank Davis will lose it. Might be a rigged fight. I don't know. If it's real, Jake Paul's definitely getting beat up. That I can assure you. No chance against Tank Davis. Maxine Wong, Tank Davis will lose it. What's the subject? Tank spars with guys bigger than him for power and smaller guys for speed. Yo, I'm telling you, Tank is gonna beat him up. If it is a real fight, Jake Paul getting cooked, yo, I promise you. Jimbo Allen, I meant Ward. Do you ever see Berto come back? Nah, I saw him training. And it looked like he was setting up something to come back. I don't know. Timmy T, excessive clinching needs to receive point deductions more. I agree with that 100%. I've seen situations where a fight is clinching, and there's no point deduction, and that I don't like. But survival tactics doesn't mean excessive clinching. That's why I told you earlier. If you hurt me, I'ma clinch until the ref separates us. I'ma kill 10 seconds right there. 5-10 seconds. But when the referee separates us, now I'ma go like this in the ring. Whoop, 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 until you close the gap on me. I'ma kill another 10 seconds. And the first punches that you throw, because now you're trying to stop me, right? You're going with hard punches. I'm waiting for it. The first hard punches that you throw, boom, boom, boom. Now I clinched you again. Now the referee separate us. Now I'm back on my footwork once again. So the point is that if a fighter works on this during training camp, you could get hurt and kill a whole minute of the round without getting hit again. A whole minute, you drain it out the way. But you have to do the right thing. If you get hurt and you resort to instinct, you're just gonna block and fight back. And that's how people get knocked out brutally. Because you're not blocking effectively and you're not throwing punches effectively. That's how you see people go, boom, and just get knocked out brutally. You should have been bobbing and weaving. Wes does it. This fight. Do you know who's on the undercard? I know they have a real fights on the undercard. A bunch of actual fights. And I think even championship fights. Timmy T mostly caught Floyd good. Clinched smart. He was smart. You see what I'm saying? He knew what to do to not get hit with that shot right then and there again. And mostly caught Floyd with a few good shots. But Floyd has always been very smart when it comes to clinching. And that's why you can't say that he's clinching excessively, because he'll clinch the opponent, and when they get separated, he'll jump on his footwork. Bang, bang, bang. Let you throw punches, slip them, do all that. So by the time he clinch you again, it's been 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes later. He's not doing it excessively. He's not just doing that over and over. He's using the footwork. He's slipping punches. He's moving. All fighters need to work on that, my baby. All fighters. Mike Malcriado knocked out by devastating blow. Facts, bro, facts. 32 people watching. 32 likes, please. It would be reasonable. But I don't know, bro. I think I'm gonna start. I said I'm gonna start doing this show in a unicycle, wearing a shower cap, and holding a lefty golf club in the right hand. And maybe like that, if I'm doing something crazy like that, people hit that like button, bro. um, so check this out. Check this out. This is the main reason why people think that Jake Paul's gonna win. Right there, look. That's why they think Jake Paul's gonna win. They're like, nah, he's too big and he's too strong. Well, look, I'm giving you a physical, a tangible that you can see comparison. This is the difference in height. Jake Paul is almost a foot taller than Tank Davis. That's about a foot right there, my people. That's about a foot right there. But the difference in skills, Jake Paul lost his only fight versus a pro boxer, Tommy Fury. And Tank Davis has been fighting at the highest level, championship level, for over 10 years. You see that? This is Jake Paul's advantage in size. This is Tank Davis' advantage in skills. If you don't know, I'm the one to tell you. Skills beats size every time. Skills beats size. If this is a real fight, Tank Davis is gonna beat him up. He's gonna beat him up. Timmy T, Tank fans get pissed when you say he's the B-side to Jake Paul. I mean, in this card, he's the B-side. Although, to give him credit at this point, Tank Davis might become the face of exhibition boxing. Because nobody in exhibition boxing is going to be able to beat him. So there you have it, the face of exhibition boxing. But he is the B side. This is a Jake Paul promotion. Jake Paul's the A side, the one getting the most money. Come on now. Tank Davis is the employee in this one. He not one diff wrong. I think this fight will be closer than expected. Nah, it won't be close at all. Jake Paul's not winning no rounds. Whatever amount of time this fight lasts, Tank Davis is going to win every round. It won't be close. It won't be close on the cards, and Jake Paul might get stopped. Remember I told you this. If they're fighting for real, trying to hurt each other, Jake might get stopped. And you know why I'm telling you this? Because just like everybody else, I've been watching Jake Paul's fights. He tends to overcommit with that right hand. That monster right hand that he's knocked people out with. Boom. 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 Overcommits like crazy. And I want you to think about that counter shot that Tank Davis has hurt a lot of people with. You have a Jake Paul overcommitting with the right hand like this, diving in with that shit. And you have a Tank Davis who loves to pull back just a little bit, just enough to make you not reach him. And he comes back so fast that you haven't even been able to retract your arm to defend yourself. Your joint is still out here. And you go like this. Boom! Cooked. Cooked. So Mr. Jake Paul with that overreaching, overextending, overcommitting right hand, he's gonna meet up with that Tank Davis counter shot. And my peoples, you see that size difference? You see that height difference? When he overcommit with that right hand, He's gonna be the dream head for an uppercut. When he overcommits with that right hand, and Tank Davis is right there looking at his melon like this, that uppercut, that shit is gonna be like a Shoryuken. Boom. It's gonna be brutal. Te quiero mucho, mi amor. That uppercut Jake Paul is gonna receive after overcommitting with the right hand, you're gonna think Tank Davis is Ryu or Ken or somebody. Oh, yeah. Uppercut gonna be crazy. Timmy T, Tank the face of exhibition boxing. I'm saying exhibition boxing is pretty big, and Tank is the face of it right now. Mike Malcriado, let me see the light go up, people. Don't cost nothing to double tap. They could just double tap, bro. I don't know. People enjoy watching this shit, but they don't like giving it a like. He knocked wonderful. I'm a Tank fan, but he struggled with mental issues. All Jake has to do is a jab and move. I have Tank winning, but I think it'll go like 7-8 rounds. Nah, trust me, when there's that much of a gap in skills, man, listen, mental health ain't gonna do nothing to nothing. Nothing to nothing. That's gonna affect nothing. And I'm gonna tell you something. And he not what I'm about to tell you is real, man. This real shit. Tank Davis fans, you guys have this extra empathy for Tank. Like, you guys always take into account, oh no, he's going through things. Oh no, this happens to him. Oh no, and this is real life, my people. We all going through things. In real life, everybody going through things. It's not just Tank Davis. You don't realize it, but you guys act like Tank Davis is going through things, so things can play out differently. But guess what? When you going through things in life, you still gotta go to work. You still gotta do your same job. They don't tell you, yo, you going through some things in life. Take the day off. We're gonna pay you anyways, right? We all go through things in life. Other boxers are going through things in life. Other boxers also got mental health things that they dealing with. But we give that benefit to Tank Davis always. Oh no, it's just that Tank. Meanwhile, you yourself could be, there's people that they themselves are going through things. They themselves are about to be evicted because they owe rent money, or they themselves, their wife is cheating on them, and they on social media talking about, because Tank is going through some things, Bro, you going through some things, and who helping you? Who give a damn about you when you going through things? Because Tank Davis ain't talking about y'all going through things. So the real shit, we all going through things, bro. Just being a man. If you a man in this world, if you a real man, if you take care of your kids, if you take care of business, you going through, or you gonna go through things. That's life, bro. So we can't act like, oh, well, Tank Davis is going through things. Man, everybody's going through things, bro. Everybody's going through things. Come on now. He has interviews saying he wants to quit the sport and afraid of himself, going to therapy. Okay, fam, I'm not saying, look, I never told you that Tank Davis not going through nothing. I never said that, bro. You don't have to keep drilling on that and keep repeating it over and over, because I'm telling you that everybody's going through things, my guy. If you want to feel sorry for Tank, go ahead. But guess what? There's somebody in your family that's going through worse shit than Tank Davis. There's people that grew up in your block that's going through worse shit than Tank Davis. You ain't worried about them. You ain't talking about them. But Tank Davis is a star. So you worried about, his therapy and his mental health. And my G, we all go through shit. Y'all gotta stop that. Y'all gotta stop. with that empathy train that y'all want to have for Tank Davis, because he's an athlete. At your job, when you going through things, nobody give a damn about it, bro. Who whoever says, oh well, Enoch is going through things, nobody, bro. So y'all gotta stop doing that for athletes. Side, Box Center with Jay Smith. You think this fight will do more numbers than Bub versus Canelo? Oh man, listen, it's hard to say because even though it is an exhibition, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson did like 100 million, I think. So Jake Paul, listen, Jake Paul's super popular. He has a huge YouTube following. And because of that, it may do more numbers. It may. I don't know. I don't know. Because it's an exhibition, it's hard to tell. It's hard to say. June B, stop hating on Tank. Y'all should praise him for being able to make that much money in one fight. Y'all forget this is a job. He found a way to get paid the most to fight. June B, that's great and all. Unfortunately, I don't believe you. Instead of we should be praising him. Nah, instead of doing that, we should be telling you that people like you would destroy the sport of boxing because people like you are the only ones that's talking about money. You see, before people like you came along trying to ruin the sport of boxing, trying to make excuses for Tank Davis, we was arguing about the best fighting the best. And in case you didn't know, Floyd made the most money in boxing and he was fighting the best. De La Hoya was making the most money in boxing. He was fighting the best. Tito Trinidad, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, the people that have made the most money in boxing have fought the best in boxing. Tank Davis now making the best money by fighting an exhibition, and you praising that? You should be ashamed of yourself. You don't love boxing, you love Tank Davis. That's what you love. You're not a boxing fan, you're a tankomaniac. You're looking for ways to defend whatever he does, you want to defend it. You spend years knocking Jake Paul. You spend years telling people, Jake Paul shouldn't be in boxing. Jake Paul this, Jake Paul that. Jake Paul's ruining boxing. Now when Jake Paul decides that he's going to do an exhibition fight with Tank Davis, now you support it. Now you support a Jake Paul fight. Now you're like, oh, he's getting the most money. You should praise him. No, you're a tankomaniac. That's what it is. And you got tankomaniac logic. Historically, fans of boxing want boxers to fight the best. That's what boxing has been about. Until the goofballery started with the PBC. We make the most money. We make the most money. And then it trickled down to goofy fans who repeat the same things that you heard. You goofy. Bro, June B, you don't realize that you corny. You take pocket watching to another level. Instead of holding Tank Davis accountable like real boxing fans, you like, he's gonna make a lot of money. He's gonna, like, bro, June B, why are you celebrating another man's money? I should celebrate another man's money? Man, y'all gotta take Tank Davis Kizak out your mouth. I'm sorry. You got to take Tank Davis Kizak out your mouth. He's not gonna send you a check. He's not going to give you any money. He's not going to give you anything. You see? So at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to who's fighting the best. Who's fighting the best? That's what boxing has always been about. Who fights the best? For Tank Davis, you came out with a new logic. Oh, no, no, no. Let's argue about his money. You guys take pocket watching to a new level. You're a disgrace to boxing fans, man. Y'all are a disgrace to boxing fans. Thank God for real boxing fans who ask fighters to fight the best. You will ruin the sport of boxing. You're the reason why boxers will start doing exhibitions and not fight each other anymore. You're the reason why boxers protect their own. Ruining the sport.